bear with me. This might sound like Santa Cruz a little bit, but it's not. We all know many people in the world today use some sort of technology on a regular basis. I would not be surprised at all if some of you guys are using it right now. You hear me? And it seems that nowadays some people may find it difficult to go a whole day without their devices, such as their cell phones, iPods, iPads, or even our own GPS devices. Many of us feel lost without these things. Lost, GPS, get, okay. With that said, I'm sure we all know that the use of technology is growing every day. During my relatively short lifetime, I have seen technology creep into many different things in this world. One example of that are professional sports. Instant replay is the type of technology used and is used by the 4 major pro sports in America: basketball, football, hockey, and of course, America's pastime, baseball. Most of you know that instant replay is used for, well, instant replay, whatever happened once before. The use of instant replay started to change, and eventually it was being used in order to make correct calls for these 4 major sports. In 2008, Major League Baseball was the very last sport to incorporate instant replay for the use of correct calls. Although Major League Baseball only uses it to dispute home run calls, it has definitely taken me some time to accept this. As a child, I grew up with this huge love for the game of baseball, and I eventually got the opportunity to play it throughout my lifetime as well as coach it too. With that said, I firmly believe that Major League Baseball can survive without the use of instant replay. Therefore, I'm going to talk to you folks today about how the human element in baseball is fading away with the use of instant replay, how time can be affected, time of the game can be affected with instant replay, and how replay adds technicality to a relatively easy-going game. Let me start off by explaining to you how the human element in baseball is taken away with the use of technology. As with any sport, the participation of human beings is a necessity. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do not know any sport in the world that does not involve human beings. I mean, unless you have Michael Vick, then dogfighting, you might have it. But really, when sports like baseball, which never had technology before, start adding this to the game, then it makes me, someone like me, look at the game much differently. There were many times the player and the coach was on the wrong end of a bad call, and there was no doubt that I was mad at the time. But as I grew older, I started to realize that people, but specifically umpires, make mistakes. I'm sure that San Francisco Giants right fielder Aubrey Huffman would be in agreement about this. In an interview with the Los Angeles Times, he said, "These guys out there have been their best, and they're human, and we're human. When you start messing with instant replay, then you're changing the history of the game, which made the game so great." He refers to both the players and umpires, and like I said before, people make mistakes. So adding instant replay to the game sort of takes away from an umpire's job. For example, some umpires' duties during the game are to call balls and strikes and determine whether the ball is fair or foul, and there's a list of many other things. Since umpires usually stand behind home plate or close to the infield, it is sometimes hard for them to see whether the ball goes over the fence or it's interfered or it's fair or foul when we're talking about home runs. So instant replay was installed in order to help these umpires with this. Although baseball is using replay for this little part of the game, it is still significantly different from how the game was originally brought up. With many people wanting an expansion for the use of instant replay, in baseball, then the human element or the need for umpires is slowly fading away. Let's switch gears now and talk about how the length of a baseball game can be affected by instant replay. Throughout my lifetime, I've heard many people say that baseball is boring or it's too slow for them. And you know what? I would not be surprised at all if some of you guys are thinking this right now. With that said, I can honestly say I understand what people mean when they say things like this. Everyone is entitled to their own views and opinions, but being the big baseball fan I am, I obviously think otherwise. The length of Major League Baseball games average out to be about a little over 3 hours. Baseball is very unique in the respect that it does not have a time limit or a running clock throughout the game. You just go out there and play the full 9 innings, and some innings may be longer, but hey, that's the game of baseball for you. But now that instant replays are installed in this game, time may be a factor sooner or later. It's not about putting a time limit on the games though, it's about how much time replays will affect the game of baseball. What if you're at a ball game and instant replay is needed for a particular play, and then 5 minutes later it's needed again, and then in the 9th inning it's needed once again? This can definitely run up the time you may spend in a ball game. It puts people in a sticky situation when the game drags out too long. People want to stay to get their money's worth, but then again, you might be saying to yourself, "Get me the hell out of here! I got things to do." Or, you got to go to bed, you have school the next day. You don't want to be there too long. I mean, I wouldn't want to be there too long. I want to go enjoy the game, but I don't want to be there for 4 hours or be there till 1 a.m. in the morning. Chase Headley of the San Diego Padres told CBS News something similar. I don't think you want to drag the game on too long, so you don't want to go too overboard with it. It's not just the fans that are affected by this, but by instant replay, but the players as well. These guys are trained to last 9 innings and then some. But when you have to put these guys on hold just for an instant replay, it starts to become a little irritating for them. Now, to explain to you how instant replay adds technicality to a relatively easygoing sport. Like I said moments ago, many people think that baseball is boring or a slow sport, but to me it's just a nice, relaxed game. You kind of just go up to bat, all pumped up, wanting to smash the crap out of the ball. You have to go up there with a plan and a proper technique to hit the baseball correctly. It is things like this that make baseball an easygoing sport. But by adding replay to this unique game, then we're just making it more complicated than it needs to be. As with any professional sport, the players are going to go out there and give it all they have. I mean, well, at least we believe so. But if a game such as baseball keeps getting interrupted, then the flow of the game is gone. Not only does instant replay mess with the flow of the game, but it also adds this dimension of the game that never once stood there. Before replay was added, baseball was simple. You go up to bat, pitcher pitches the ball, you either hit it or you don't. You run the bases and you try to score that guy. I can get into much more detail, but I'm afraid I might lose you guys. That is pretty much baseball in a nutshell. So when you interrupt that sequence with replay after replay after replay after replay, then it makes it hard for players, fans, and coaches to enjoy the game the way it is. So today I talked to you folks about a few things. First, I talked about the human element in baseball and how it can be diminished with the use of instant replay. Second, I stated how instant replay can play a factor in the length of baseball games. And finally, I talked to you folks about the relatively easygoing game of baseball and how instant replay affects that as well. So today I hope that you learn how instant replay can affect some of baseball's very unique characteristics. Not only can this be applied to baseball, but it can be applied to our own life. Sometimes a lot of technology is just too much. Let's just enjoy life the way it is.
So Hannah, are we here?
Yeah.
All right, what did you think?
You did a really good job in the beginning saying what points you're going to go over. Your voice is very clear, but you talk really fast. You had really good points, and but you spread from your notes a little too much. You did a really good job of concluding what you thought over.
All right. I like the opening really well. I like the fact that you made reference to earlier speeches and you made it seem like you were really kind of a part of the audience and connected with the experience here, and I think that adds to your credibility. You talk about a subject that you also provide yourself with some credibility on. I think there's a very solid transition to the point that you're trying to make. But I have to agree, you are rushing through the presentation, and it feels especially like you are rushing at the beginning of the speech. You need to pace yourself. For somebody who's so concerned with the flow of the game, you need to pay attention to the flow of the speech. It's the old saying, it's not a race, it's a journey. We're on our way there, and I think it's just going a little too quick. The need issue ought to be developed a little bit more. Why is it important for us to have the human element in it, for mistakes to be part of it? Maybe it's about tradition, maybe it's about differentiating the game from other kinds of games. I've heard those kinds of arguments before too, and I think that there might be some value in that. But I'm sure, for example, that players that are dependent on having a certain batting average or having a low ERA would want to make sure that they get the best evaluation possible, and if the technical innovations are going to do that, then they would be much more enthusiastic about that. I'm not sure, why should we be more concerned about the traditions and enjoyment and the human nature of the game than getting it right? And I mean, that's the big issue there. And the argument is that, look, you can never get everything right, so the question is what things are important to sweat and worry about getting it right. And that this game has a different aesthetic. I think there's a good value argument to be made there, but it needs to be